We can't be too serious, can we? We have to sometimes let off steam and crack jokes,
I
even
agree.
even in a lecture. So it's okay, yeah. Okay, so we would recap, replace. Let me see what I'm not sure which. Can somebody remind me which database we used? I think, let me see. I think we used this database. We used this one. Okay, let's see. Let's run that query and see what happens. And let me just increase this also a little bit. So I'm not so that it becomes a bit clearer for you guys. Let's see whether we will get what we want from here. I think it's company locations. Let's run this and see whether it would give us what I'm looking for. Oh yes, yeah, this is what we used the last time, isn't it? This is what we used. This is where we did a trimming and all of those things. And then we said we can also do some replacements. So the trimming takes care of the end bits, the left and right bits. So we did the left trim, which would trim every space on the left, the right trim, which would trim spaces on the right. But then where the issue was with those things in between the words. So if we want to make any changes to whatever is within these names, then the trim will not be able to execute that. And that is where we use the replace word to replace whatever it is that we want to change within the words that we have in here. So let me not just call this as names, because these could actually be anything, if that makes sense. It could be anything. In this particular instance, we see names, but it could very well also be just anything, right? That's why I'm generalizing to say words. Okay, so if, for example, we want to replace, we know, for example, when we looked at this the last time, we know, for example, that there are spaces. For example, even in here, you would see that if you look at Lee and Sylvia, you would see that the space between the ampersand and Lee and the ampersand is smaller than that between, oh, okay, I think this is, no, this one, there is a dot there. There is a dot there. Remember we said there is a dot here, which is very tiny, so not so visible. But I can see it from my end because I'm closer to it. But if you look at this, you look at Owen and Mary Douglas, you would, if you check the space between Owen and then the space between and Mary, you would see that this is smaller than that. So that means that the database is not clean enough. So we need to tidy up things like these within the database, and that is where we can use the replace. So for example, where there is a double space, we can replace it with a single space. And that is what the replace statement does. It replaces anything we don't want with another that we prefer. So let's see how we can make use of that very quickly. Let's say we replace where do we want to replace? So we select what field we want to make the replacement. That becomes the first thing that we do. Whatever it is that we want to replace is within this attribute salesman name. So we put that attribute down. We write that attribute. Salesman name, comma. What is it that we want to replace? We want to replace the double space. We want to replace the double space. Yep, that's a double space, isn't it? One, 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 two. We want to replace this with that. We want, this is the double space. Let me see. Sorry. Okay, so we want to replace this as, let's give it an alias. Let's call it replaced name or replace space. Replace double space. Double space. Actually, for clarity, we can specify where we want to make this replacement within the alias. So replace double space within name, isn't it? That would be too long, wouldn't it? Let's just leave it at that. But you get the drift. You know what I'm talking about. But if you want to add to your notes for simplicity, so that in future when you are making reference, it becomes clear as to why you made that replacement. We want to replace within the words. Replace double space within words. That would be, I don't want that to be too long. So let's run both queries and see what we get. Let's run both and see what we get. Right, so this has actually just closed everything. So it looks like I didn't even leave a space at all. We didn't double space. We didn't even leave a space at all. So let's just increase this. That will be it. Let's run it again and see what we have. Yeah, that looks neater. But you see, what has happened is that we still have, running this query as it is, we still have the spaces to the extreme ends, to the ends. So this is a case where we can again, oh, okay, let's finish with all the replacements. Then we would see what we would do. Then we can see what to do. Let's finish all the replacements. What else do you want to replace? If we come here, what else would we like to replace? We may like to replace this ampersand with and. We don't need to, but we can. And the reason being that you want consistency in your data. So for example, here there is and. So why do you have an ampersand, which is also used sometimes to represent and, right? Why do you have an ampersand here when you can standardize your data to have just one kind of you have a particular way by which you write your data. So it's not good. We have and then we have ampersand. So best, let's replace this ampersand with an and. So again, we can do that. Again, in salesman name, which we have, we can take this out. Let's call it clean name, right? But will that be really, really clean? Okay, let's run this also and see what we have. Let's just run these two and see what we have. Now we see that we have replaced the ampersand with an and. But what is there is that we have reintroduced our space. We have reintroduced our space. So what should be done so as to get everything out in one go? Can that be done? Is that achievable? Yes, it is. And that is where we can replace a number of things in bits and build this up gradually until we have replaced everything that we want to replace. When we can, as a matter of fact, even combine it with a trim to take care of both the left and right spaces all in one go. So let's see how we would do that. Let's see how we're going to go about that. Let's replace as double space. Now we can again replace this. See, when we did this one, it brought out these spaces. Though we replaced the double space within the names, but then it again brought out the spaces at the end. So to get rid of the spaces at the end, what do you think we should use? We should do a trim,
Trim.
right? We should do a trim. And a trim takes care of both the left and the right. So we don't need to do left trim, right trim. That is just a waste of time. So we first of all do a trim. We combine a trim with a replace. And that solves our problem. So if, for example, we are to just introduce a trim within this, trim, one more bracket, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so we trim salesman's name. So this is it. We trim, remember? You remember your trim statement? We trim salesman's name, just this, to remove the spaces at the ends. When we have trimmed salesman's name, I believe we all know BODMAS. What BODMAS is. Are there any mathematicians? Anybody did maths up to O level? Anybody did maths up to GCSE? I believe
Yes, please.
everybody did. Yes. So we all know what BODMAS is. And you know that when you have BODMAS, where do we start from? You start from what is
Bracket.
inside the bracket. You start from within the bracket. So here we have a number of brackets. So we start from the brackets that are within the bracket. And this is the inner bracket, salesman's name. So we trim what is within this bracket. So that is the first action that would happen when the query is run. It happens so fast we don't see it, but that's actually what happens in the system memory. So this action happens first, then the replacement occurs. So if we were to run this now, I want to combine it with something. Okay, that's fine. Let me just run this one alone. You see what has happened? There's the salesman's name here. We can see clearly it has trimmed both the left and right spaces and has also closed this gap. You would see clearly that the space between and Mary is smaller here than it is there. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
What else can we do? We can actually continue building on this. So having done this, so here we've only been able to replace the double space with one space. But then we also had the issue of the ampersand. Can we still do more replacement? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Can we still do more? Obviously, we can. And what do we do then? Let me copy this so that I can reuse my code. Now, I want to replace another thing, right? And what is that thing that I want to replace? It is the ampersand or whatever it is that is there. So let's go on with that. So I write another replace here. Haven't done this. So this now, mind you, this is the innermost bracket. The innermost bracket. We have introduced another bracket to take care of everything that is here. Okay. So what do we do? At the end of this bracket, what is it we now want to replace? Comma. We want to replace our ampersand. Where is it? Where is ampersand? We want to replace it. What do we want to replace it with? We want to replace it with and. We want to replace it with and. And then we close the bracket. So give it an alias as what? Name without ampersand. Name without. It looks like it didn't like that standing by its on its own. Okay. Let's say let me just call it cleaner name. Cleaner name. It looks like it didn't like that. Cleaner name. Okay. So let's see what happens when we run this statement. So first of all, this is going to be executed, like we said earlier on. When this gets executed, then that is executed. After which this gets executed. Right? So these are the steps. And if we do that, if we select this and run, let's see what we're going to have. So we have replaced the ampersand with and. Is that okay? But if you look carefully, you would again see that there is a full stop here. After the and, there is a full stop. We can replace that also. We can replace the full stop with just a space. Okay, we can replace it with just a space. So again, we can build on this. We can again build on this and then keep building and replace whatever it is that we want to replace. So again, let's have a replace statement here. Replace So we've started building. What now do we want to replace? We go to the end, and then we put a comma at the end of the previous statement. And what is it that we want to replace? We want to replace the full stop with just a space. We want to replace it with a space. And then we close our bracket. So we say name without space as name, no space. And let's see what happens when we run this query. So what we are looking for is to see that this full stop behind the and is gone, right? And then that automatically, with that, you would see that this space would shrink. So keep an eye on that. So do we see what has happened here? You can see clearly that's the full stop here, tiny. You may not see it, but I see it a little bit clearly because I need to go to Specsavers. But then also it has removed the full stop behind Sylvia. And if there is any full stop anywhere else, it would have removed it. So now we have the cleanest form of data here, this one here. This is our clean form of data. And if you want to export this into your Power BI or whatever visualization tool you are using, you can easily clean within your Microsoft SQL server and then export into your Power BI or your Tableau. So that's another way of doing what? Of cleaning. Okay. So here you're actually cleaning from source before you export. But of course, as you are all aware, you can also clean from within your Power BI using the Power BI query. The Power Query within Power BI. You can clean within that. So yes, that is replace. Any questions so far with replace? Okay, if no questions, let's get on with today's lecture. Let's see what we want to do. Let me check this and see whether I've actually completed everything here that I wanted to touch on. Did we talk about reverse the last time? Reverse.
Well, the last time is in the week before this one.
Yeah.
To be honest, I cannot remember, but I've literally just got my SQL working. So
Oh,
this
you
is
got
like,
it working.
literally this week because it wasn't working.
Thank God. Thank God.
So I've got a lot of catching up to do, but I think we did the week before. I think I remember reverse. I think sounds
Okay.
familiar, to be fair.
Right. It's pretty simple. Reverse is one of the simplest. Hardly used, but it could be used. And so what that does is just reverse whatever every term that you have. So for example, if I want it to reverse this, I can ask it to reverse the way this is written. So all the letters are written in reverse order.
Yeah.
So if, for
Okay.
example, let's
So would you say like what? So sales name is John, but you're saying that reverse order is if his name
yeah,
is like
so it will spell it as
McCoy John.
NHOJ.
Oh, okay. But what's the benefit of that then?
When you are creating games,
Yeah.
assuming you are in an environment where you are creating games, or you are in an environment where you are writing secret codes, right? And then it has its benefits. So that's why I said hardly used, but it's something good to know. It is hardly used actually. But if you want to go into the game industry, you might just as well just get a hang of it. And it is something that you can just do within one minute. So
So
for
what the
example, pardon?
yeah. So I was gonna ask you what the game industry with SQL. Is that what you mean?
With coding.
Coding. Oh, okay, coding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
So if, for example, we write this and we say reverse, selects a salesman's name and reverse. What is it that we want to reverse? This is what we want to reverse. So let's select that and put here. So we've reversed it as reverse name. Yeah. So this is what we have. Do you get that?
Yeah. No, I can see it. Yeah.
Right. Let's do another thing before we go to char index, which is quite an interesting concept. Let's do another thing, concatenation. We know what concatenation is, right?
No. No.
Concatenation. Okay, so let me see. Which database can I use? Okay, let me go here. Let me select this. Select. Let's do this. Select all. I just want to see what we have there. It looks like I've forgotten. Employees. Let's see what we have in that database again. So you see that we have title, first name, surname, right? Title, first name, surname. Is it possible that we just create one attribute field which has got all these three things put together? That is called concatenation, putting things together to concatenate. Right, so is it possible we do that? Yes, it is very possible. Now, how do we do that? Let's see. So instead of selecting all, we don't want all. We just want the title, the forename, and the surname. That's all we want. Right? Okay, so what are we gonna do? So we're gonna select the forename, and we select the surname, and we select all now together as one. Title, how do we then concatenate? Plus, the plus sign in coding is used to concatenate. It's not plus, it's a concatenation sign. So we leave space, plus forename, or title, surname, forename, whichever one you want. Plus surname. Now let's give it an alias. Okay, let's run this and see what we have. So we have title, forename, first surname, and we've put everything together in this field here. We've concatenated everything. So when we just run this bit, let's see what happens. We have the full name as this. So these are you see, it's put everything together in this particular field. And so if we like, we can just write this one straight away from here. Right? So if we actually want to see when these people started work, then we can add more things. So for example, when we run this query, we saw other attributes. We saw other attributes. So if we want to find out what other things we can reproduce within that statement, we can just add it and then have it shown. Okay? Sorry, young man, use your earpiece, please. Where is my... All right, sorry about that, guys. Right. So another thing that we want to touch on is use of cast. Now, this is also quite an important concept. Might not be might not look like it is, but it really, really is. So, for example, if I say this, can somebody tell me what the likely answer to this would be?
But as in combining the four places together.
Yeah, as it is now.
As in the order of it.
No, no, no. Just the way it is. What will be the likely outcome?
One second, guys. One second.
I was going to say 24.
Okay, because of concatenation, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, but that's not the correct answer. Now, look at the difference between the two data types. Okay, we haven't done data types. I can forgive you. But can you tell me what is this data type and what is that data type? Right, so this is an integer. That is a number. Whereas this is a string. So this here is not a number. Why is it not a number? Remember, we said strings in SQL, strings are put in quotation marks. When you're writing your literals, you put strings in quotation marks. So here, given this 4 is within quotation marks, it ceases to be a number but a string. However, something is going to happen. If we run this just as it is, the result profoundly is 6. Why is that the case? This is because SQL is so intelligent, it recognizes that we want to add these two things, and it assumes that we have probably made a mistake and put this as a string and add it up anyway. So in the same vein, if we were to write this same query, this time as that, let us see if it would do the same thing here. It throws an error straight away because you cannot add up integers and strings. They cannot be added up. So here SQL recognizes that we are doing an addition. And it recognizes that this is actually a string and not a number. So it knows here that we have actually not made a mistake. Right. This kind of expression of the query is called implicit conversion. Implicit. So when we say something is implicit, what do we understand by that?
That when it's
Pardon?
oh, sorry, go on.
No, you were going to say something.
Is it when it's changed or updated or edited?
No, no, no. Implicit. When we say something is implicit.
Implicit is that my understanding is implicit. No, that's explicit. Implicit. Nah, I'm trying. I don't want to get it too wrong, to be honest.
No, no, no. Nothing is wrong. I mean, just say it if it's not correct, we are all learning, remember? We are all learning. So from my understanding, implicit is when something is stated from within. It doesn't, the expression is not outwardly seen. So this conversion happens from the internal memory of the system. It is not something that happens automatically. The system has to think and think and think to get that conversion done. So imagine if you have 1,000,000 of these expressions. What will be happening is that you will be wasting computing resources by making your computer to overthink. And that is something you don't want to do. So, to get around this issue of implicit conversion, which is not good anyway, why don't you write your query explicitly? Make it very, very clear so that the computer knows exactly what you mean. And that is where the word cast comes into play. So if we choose this statement again, and we write it as that again, but this time we put before that the word cast. And we declare it explicitly. We tell the computer explicitly to treat this not as a string, but as an integer. And this is called explicit conversion. So here the conversion is very clear. There is no ambiguity about what you want to do. The computer understands exactly what you want to do. It knows you have written for as a string, but you have told it to treat it as an integer, and it will do just that. So when you run this query, you're again going to get 6. Now, what is the difference? The difference is that this one doesn't waste any computing time nor space. This, on the other hand, wastes computing time. We only don't see the difference because of the speed at which computers work. But there is a clear difference between the two. And like I said, if we have to run millions of this, that is where it becomes very evident that we are wasting computing resources. Any questions so far? No questions? I kind of like it too. If there are no questions, that means we are understanding. But obviously, if we don't understand, let us ask, please. Okay? Now, the use of casts becomes very, very important, especially when you are dealing with things like dates. Dates. Because sometimes you want to combine dates with certain things, and it becomes an issue because date is a character set on its own. Right. So if you want to combine date with other things, it becomes quite a problem. Let's see an example of that. So assuming we take this same query again, this one that we previously run, we're using the surname and first name and things like that. Let's see. Let's use it again and see. So let's make some changes. So we need, let me just take title, surname. Let's just take the title and the surname. Let's not overflog the issue. Let's just take title and surname and then add date to it. Title, surname. Let's add date to it. So plus space plus let's say start date. Let's first of all write it as this and see what happens. Okay, let me put it in start date as let's see if this is gonna work anyway. Let's just see if it's gonna work. Let's just see if it's gonna work. And why does it not work? Again, here we have different data types. Name and date are not the same data types. This is a string, that is date. So they are not the same data types, and so it's not going to work. But we can write this in such a way using the cast keyword so that it works. We can write it so that it works. And how do we do that? So we have the plus. Let's put a bracket here. Let me see. I'm trying something, yeah? Plus cast. start date. If we like, we can close the bracket. But really and truly, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. Right. Can somebody tell us what has happened there? What is the error? The error is there. It is right in front of us. It's telling us what the error
So,
is.
is it a cast date? The start
Pardon?
date? Is the start date error?
No, the start date is not the error.
But it says incorrect. Syntax near cast expected as.
Yeah. So what do you think the error is?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
Okay. So it wants us, whenever we use casts, we must express what we want. We must say what we want the computer to do with it. So here we use cast using string 4, and we told it to express it as an integer. We've used cast here and we've used date. We haven't told it what to express it as. So it wants us to express it as something. And I will just express it as variable character, varchar, $30. Sorry, I brought this. We should have probably done, what is it called? Data types before doing this, but yeah, no problem. So if you open this, let me see something. Let me check something here. Let me just try to open something. Right. So look at this. Forename varchar 30. So what you are telling the computer to do here, and there are various instances of the gender car 1. We will talk about all these in another lesson. So what you are telling the computer to do here is to take date, and date is a variable character, and assign to that date computing space of 30 bytes. 30, right? You are telling the computer exactly what to do. So there is no ambiguity about what you want it to do. It's clear. The computer is clear as to what you are instructing it to do, right? So we have told the computer that take the date, which is a variable character, and assign to that variable character up to 30 spaces or 30 bytes. Let me say that. I don't know whether it's bits or bytes, but I think it's bytes, yeah. Up to 30 bytes, which is what we have asked the computer to do. Right. So it knows exactly where we are heading, and it will take us there. So if we run this time around, let's see whether that is going to work. So it has taken everybody's name and added their start date. It has concatenated that with their start date. Right. And as a matter of fact, we could have given this another as to give this column a heading, because this column as it is now hasn't got any heading. So we can again give it a heading so that we have a nice, we have something we can present. Obviously, if you are presenting this to your employers, you will not just present it without a heading. So we can again say that as names with dates. Oops, 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 oops. What have I done? Where did I take this from? As name with date. And let's run it again and see what happens. So we have names with dates. And that is what we have there. Any questions so far?
No, all good. All good.
Okay, so let's get into char index. Let me use this again. This is where we have the uh, bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Oops. Okay, so this is the field I'm looking for. This is the field I'm looking for. So let's just write that the attribute name is company string. So let's just take that. And that is what we have. Now, if you look carefully, what do you see here?
Is it the country and the regions?
Beautiful. I didn't know you would spot it so quickly like that. That's nice. I like that. The country and the regions. The countries and the cities. Yes, exactly what I'm looking for. Now, but what else do you see? Look hard. What else do you see?
I'd like to say the capital of it, but I don't know if that answers the question.
Pardon?
The capital?
Not
I don't know.
necessarily. Okay, let's go one by one. So the first one, what do we see?
It's England, Northwest, but there's no space between or anything separating.
Right, are you sure there's nothing separating them?
Well, I'm
Look
looking.
hard.
No, you've got I forgot
There's
what it's called.
something.
The
Okay, there's
divider? Oh.
yeah.
Look hard. Is there something separating them?
Yes, something a bit shaded.
Oh no, it's where I put the cursor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Look
like
again, look again at the first
Yeah,
one.
there is.
What is
the
it?
line
there
thing.
seems to
I forgot
be
it's
like
called.
a straight
like a
line.
straight line, yeah.
Like a straight line. Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. Is it common to all the other ones?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, now do you know what that line is called?
No, I don't.
No, I can see it on my keyboard on my
You
laptop.
can
I
see
don't
it
know
on your
what's called.
keyboard, close to it is
Close to the
above the
escape.
backspace, right?
It's close to escape on my
Close
laptop.
to your shift key. Next to your shift key, isn't it?
Mm.
On my keyboard, it is next to the shift key. After the shift key, I have that. The shift key on the left.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, mine's just be before the number one.
Yeah,
Yours is
that's where
before
mine
number
is.
one.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. So maybe I have an old laptop, not a problem. I agree, I understand I have an old laptop. In fact, I actually even bought a laptop recently which hasn't got this thing at all. And all the QAs were laughing at me recently. Right, so that thing you see there, that symbol you see, who knows what it is called? That looks like a straight line.
Straight line symbol.
Now, like your tryout. Good try, very good try. Okay, it is called a pipe. That is called a pipe, and it is commonly used in computing, actually. It is called a pipe. Right, so what are we going to do with this pipe? Is it good if we are asked to present any data, to present it in this form?
No, it's a bit unclear, to be honest.
It is unclear. In fact, it is very, very nasty. It is highly untidy, very unprofessional. Very, very unprofessional. But if we are able to split to split the country from the city and take out that untidy thing that is making it look so nasty, will it not be beautiful? Will knowing how to do this not be beautiful? Now, this is not a case of replace because we can't replace. If you use replace because you want to take out one thing and put another there. That is what replace does. You can't replace something. You can't take out something and not put another there if you use the replace word. So we can't replace. And it is not in the position where we can trim. We can't trim. So there is a kind of dilemma here. What do we do with this kind of situation? And that is where this word becomes important. Char index, character index. That is what it means. So what it's telling us simply is that let us find the index of the character. Now, what is an index? The index is the position of the character. When we get the index of the character, then we can make some manipulations and take out that character, whilst at the same time splitting the word. So let me call all of this as a word, splitting the word into its component parts. So look for the position of your character. In this case, the character is a pipe. The character could be anything. It could have been an ampersand. It could have been underscore. So look for the position of the character. That is why it's called char index, character index. Look for that position. Once you determine the position of that character, then you are able to do a number of manipulations. We have already used all those manipulations. Once we get a position, what we can do is we can do a substring, we can do a replace once we know the position of that character. So getting the position of the character is the most important thing here. Is that okay? Right. So what do we do? Again, let's take this. And we bring in the keyword char index. Where do we want, sorry. So we are looking for a character. The character we are looking for in this particular instance is our pipe. Where is this pipe? In which attribute is the pipe? The pipe is within the attribute company string. Because we are looking for the position of the character, we need to count. Not so. And counting in computing terms starts from 0. So counting from 0, the very first character. The first character is 0. So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until we get to the pipe. Let's see what we get. Okay. So in the first instance, it tells us that the pipe is at position 8, 7, 12, 10, 4. A whole lot. Okay, but how do we use this? Of what use is this to us? That is where the critical thinking comes about. That is where the critical thinking comes about. You know, we did something like left and right some time ago, where we can take the left of something and then the right of another thing. Remember that? So let's go.
Yeah, we joins, Godwin.
Pardon?
Joins? That we did the...
No, not joins.
Okay.
When we started strings, I think we did left and right of So I've forgotten exactly what it was. Okay. So let us look at this carefully. If you see England, France, USA, Spain, Wales, New Zealand, Northern Ireland, Australia, Sweden. All these are what? Countries, right? And then on the other side, we have either cities or regions. Just like, what's his name now? What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? Jack, yeah. Just like Jack suggested to us. So we can very easily look at the left of this, the left of the pipe position. The left of the pipe position is what? Is the country. The right is what? Is the city or the region. So now we know the pipe position for each of these. Right? So what we do is we want to look into company string. We want to look into company string. And when we are within company string, we want to take the char index. We want to look for the position of the pipe. We are now within company string. Within company string, we want the position of the pipe. Is that okay? Right. So now remember, we started counting from what? From 0. So within company string, our char index, company string, char index. So if we start from here, for example, 1, let's count and see. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I getting it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I see. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the pipe is in the 8th position. Do we get that? The pipe is actually in the 8th position. Counting from the first. The pipe is in the 8th position. But we don't want the pipe. We just want up to the 7th position. So minus 1. Does that make sense? Close your bracket. Any question?
No, all good.
All good? Okay,
Yeah,
let's run this and see. Okay. Then how do we get the remainder? We're not going to use left off, otherwise that would become another long thing for us to do. But what we can then do is to use a substring. Now we know the substring is what? A subsidiary of something, a part of something. Right. So how do we use the substring to get this? We've done substring, right? Substring, again, we take the whole of this thing here. We take the whole of thing. We want to look for the substring, a part of the string, which is within company string and which starts from the position of the pipe a part of the string within company string, which starts from the position of the pipe to the right. But do we want the pipe as part of it? We don't want the pipe as part of it. So it's going to start one step from the pipe. One step from the pipe. So this is the position of the pipe. This here gives, all of this here gives us the position of the pipe. This gives us the position of the pipe. Right? We are looking for the part of the company string which starts from the right of the pipe. The pipe is here. We know the position of the pipe is given by this formula. So if we increment that position by 1, it goes to the next character. Not so. And then we can define any number of characters that we want to take. So let's say, for example, we want 50. Declare up to 50 characters. Okay? So if there are up to 50 characters after the pipe, it would show all of those. And if there aren't up to 50, it will just show what there is. Okay? Now this is what? Region. And let's see what happens. Do we get it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Are there certain things here that we might want to replace? So you can keep building these things as much as you like. You can build them any way, anyhow you like, so long as you know what you are doing. So is there anything here that we think we want to replace? Let me see if I can get something. looks like there is a full stop before after Paris. Looks like it. Looks like there is a full stop after Paris, and looks like there is another full stop after West. This thing is so faint, it's difficult to actually see. Not that it's a big deal. At this point, we can actually leave it like this. But if I could just increase this, except that if I increase, it would only be here that would increase. It wouldn't increase from here. The font size will not increase in this section. It would only increase here. But if we were to, for example, export, if we were to export this result,
Godwin,
yep. Pardon?
there's actually a full stop behind every.
Can you see a full stop?
Yeah, behind
yeah.
it. Yeah, at the back
Now
of
that
it.
I've highlighted it, I can see it. Can see a full stop behind every single one of them. Right. So what can we use to get rid of the full stop? I think you know that already. Right? And what is that? Replace. Easy, 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 easy peasy. We already know all of these already. So all we need to do is to just here, we just come here and then replace. We already know everything. There's nothing to change, nothing at all, nothing whatsoever to change. Just copy all of this. Everything here is already there. But we want to replace. What do we want to replace? So after this, we put a comma. We want to replace the full stop with what? With space. We want to take out the full stop completely. So this we can call as what should we call it? Region without a full stop, right? Region without a dot. Region without dots. I want to call it full stop, but it's getting longer. Region without dots or full stop. And that should completely clean the data for us. And that is, if you check very carefully, you see that these ones have got full stops, while this hasn't got any full stop there. Nothing at all. Takes out everything. Takes out everything. Now let's go into AdventureWorks and see if we will get anything like that. Have you cleaned your data already in Power BI?
No, I haven't yet.
No, but some people have. Has anybody done data? Have you done data cleaning already in Power BI? I'm looking for a table that would have things like this. There would be. I'm aware there are things, but I don't know which table has got them. And we can't go through everything, so. But basically, if you come across these things, whether in any data set at all, these are the steps you can use to clean. If you don't have access to the Power Query in Power BI, you can clean from your server SQL database management system before you export. Any questions so far?
Man, all good on my side.
All right, to make this very clear, okay? To make it really very clear, let's replace the dot with something else instead of space so that we see exactly where the dots are. How about that? Let's just experiment with this. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's just experiment. Let's replace the dots because the dots are so difficult to see, aren't they? So to prove that point that there are really dots there, let's replace the dots with something else. So we want to replace the dot with somebody make a suggestion.
But maybe a star.
Star.
Yeah.
Okay, so region with star. As region with star. And let's execute this and see what we get. Can we see that? So each and every one of them had a full stop, a dot actually after each one had a full stop. Each one had a full stop. Any questions?
No, good.
Okay. I think our time is spent today. So next week we will go into dates. We finish with this. We have come to the end of string handling. We should be able to handle any strings that are thrown at us. So next week we would go into dates handling. Dates. That's another very interesting concept, and I would encourage you all to come. It's quite interesting. It's really very interesting. Dates.